Buen día.
Robbie has arrived. We're beginning with 3 prostrations.
Sí, Ale, buen día. Se escucha bien. Sí, te escucho bien.
Okay, we'll begin our prayers in the Gampa on page 34 in the Gold Prayer Book with the Shakyamuni Buddha mantra. Teata Om Mune Mune Maha Munaye Soha. Teata Om Mune Mune Maha Munaye Soha. Teata Om Mune Mune Maha Munaye Soha. And now also on page 34, the Medicine Buddha stanza and mantra. Bhagawan with equal compassion for all, whose name when merely heard dispels the suffering of the lower realms, dispeller of disease and the 3 poisons, I prostrate to Medicine Buddha lapis light. Jayata Om Bekanse, Maha Bekanse, Raja Samudgate Soha. Jayata Om Bekanse, Maha Bekanse, Raja Samudgate Soha. Jayata Om Bekanse, Maha Bekanse, Raja Samudgate Soha. Teata Om Bekanse, Maha Bekanse, Raja Samudgate Soha. Teata Om Bekanse, Maha Bekanse, Raja Samudgate Soha. Jayata Om Bekanse Maha Bekanse Raja Samudgate Soha Jayata Om Bekanse Maha Bekanse Raja Samudgate Soha. And now the four immeasurables. And let's say it twice in our native language and once we'll chant it in Tibetan. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. Semchentam che de wadang de wei gyudang den par gyur chik du ngal dang du ngal gi gyudang drel war gyur chik du ngal me pe dewa dang mi drel war gyur chik nye ring chak dang ni dang drel wei tang yam la ne par gyur chik. And now the Chenrezig verse of praise and mantra on page 37 in the Gold Prayer Book. Not veiled by any fault, white in color, whose head a perfect Buddha crowns in light, gazing compassionately at all beings, to you, Chenrezig, all-seeing one, I prostrate. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. And the Green Tara verse of praise and mantra. Tara liberates from psychic existence. Tutare liberates from the 8 fears. Ture liberates from all sickness. I prostrate to the liberator, Mother Tara. Om Tari Tu Tari Ture Soha. 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 And on page 34, taking refuge in generating bodhicitta. And let's say it once in English or Spanish and then chant it twice in Tibetan. I go for refuge until I am enlightened, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye chudang tsoki chognam la, jang chu bardu dagni kapsuchi, Dagi chunyen gi pe sonam gi. Drola pinshir sange drupar shok. Sange churang soki chognam la. Jangchu bardu dagni kapsuchi. Dagi chunyen gi pe sonam gi. Drola pinchir sange drupar shok.
Okay, thank you, Donna. Let's begin with some meditation. Okay. So begin by establishing your posture. I think most people are familiar with it, but just to review quickly, if you're sitting in a chair or sitting on a cushion on the floor, your back is a little bit straighter than you normally sit. Your head may be inclined just a couple degrees in front of the vertical, but not tilted to one side or the other. Eyes either slightly open or lightly closed. Mouth lightly closed. Shoulders down and back a little bit to open your chest up. Arms away from the sides of your torso. Right hand on left with thumbs touching. If you're sitting in a chair, your feet are flat on the floor or on a cushion. If you're sitting on a cushion, you're towards the front third of the cushion, and your legs are in a position that you find comfortable and stable. So take a moment and just scan your body and identify any sources of tension or discomfort and address those now. And we'll begin by taking 3 deep breaths from the abdomen so that the stomach expands on the in-breath and contracts towards our spine on the out-breath. Just do that 3 times. And now we allow our breath to return to its normal pattern. And we begin our meditation by establishing our motivation. And as much as possible, we generate the bodhicitta motivation, the aspiration to become enlightened for the benefit of all sentient beings. So we just think on those lines for a moment. And having set our motivation, we begin the meditation, a simple concentration meditation. We place our mind, our awareness, on the physical sensation of the breath moving in and out through our nostrils. Nothing more, nothing less than that. And every time our concentration wanders off to another object, we set that aside and come back to the breath over and over and over again. And we can end our meditation by doing a dedication. We acknowledge that we've done something positive. It's made a positive imprint on our mental continuum. And we rejoice in that. And we think, may this positive energy not be lost, but may it ripen in the future in a way that benefits all sentient beings. And you can relax your concentration. Geshe Gelik, our resident teacher, is not here today, so I'm leading the discussion, and that's what it's going to be, a discussion. But first, I want to introduce our speaker for the morning, Mr. Peter Murphy. No, I'm just kidding. giving him a hard time. No, my name's Robbie Watkins, and I'll be leading the discussion this morning. And like I say, it's going to be a discussion. If we have no discussion, we'll be out of here quite quickly. But let's see, do we have anyone who's here for the very first time today? You just raise your couple people. Okay, glad to have you here. It's a little bit atypical Sunday, but I hope you find it beneficial. Let's just take a couple minutes and introduce yourself to the people sitting around you or on the other side of the room if you want to walk across. Just okay, let's come back as a group. Okay, so let's see. Do you have the book that Geshe has been teaching from on Sundays? Yeah, Geshe Gelik has been teaching from. Okay, what's the name of it?
Hang on. The Joy of Living and Dying in Peace by His Holiness the Dalai Lama.
Okay, he's been teaching from that, and I'm not going to jump in and try and cover or try and pick up the thread there. But it's been a wonderful set of teachings, and the subject that comes up over and over again over the last few weeks, and also was the subject of Venerable Robina's teachings when she was here a couple weeks ago, is the subject of emptiness, which is a word you hear a lot if you hang out in Buddhist circles. And so I thought we would talk a little bit about that and discuss it and try and get at least a little bit of clarity about what some of these words mean, because the jargon can be quite difficult and even off-putting or misleading. Many of these translations from the original teachings of the Buddha were made 100 and 150 years ago, and the words that were chosen might not necessarily be the ones we would use now, but we hear this term emptiness. Another term that we hear for the same subject is suchness, which Donna commented on a couple weeks ago and said, I think quite accurately, that word basically has no meaning in English language as it is spoken. We also hear thusness, we hear voidness, which I think gives the wrong impression. What are some of the other jargony words that are used? Anybody? Yeah. But it's something we talk about a lot, and I think it's worth talking about what the term actually means, so we can get a little bit more benefit from the wonderful teachers that we have access to. And if we look at all of the Buddha's teachings, they fall basically into two major categories. They're what's referred to as the wisdom teachings and the compassion teachings, often referred to as the two wings of a bird. If you want to become enlightened, you need both wings. You can't get there by just flapping one wing. That'll just take you around in a circle. But if we all want to become enlightened, which means completely developing our qualities of wisdom and our qualities of compassion, we have to develop both. And that's a possibility for every one of us. It seems a little bit unrealistic at times, but each of us has within us the potential to become a Buddha or an enlightened being. It's something that by virtue of having a mind is a possibility for every one of us, regardless of how confused or difficult our life may seem right now. So the compassion teachings are the teachings on benefiting others, okay? Compassion being defined as the wish that others be free of suffering. The wisdom teachings are really concerned with seeing reality as it is. When we say wisdom, we don't mean book knowledge or intellectual study or obtaining a degree. It refers to seeing reality, seeing things as they are, removing these projections that we put on everything that are not out there, that are coming from our own side. So wisdom is seeing reality. And we want to see reality according to the Buddha. And all of this is just the Buddha's observations based on looking at his own mind. He didn't invent any of this or come up with this as his nice rules that you need to do. This is just his observations of what he saw. Okay, we want to see reality. Why do we want to see reality? Why do we want to see things as they are? What's the benefit?
And if you're in the Gampa, feel free to just raise your hand and either Kim or I will come around with a microphone. We use the mics because we have folks joining us on Zoom and YouTube so that they can hear. And then if you can also speak slowly, if possible, so that our interpreter can keep up with us, quick English speakers. And if you, and hold the mic close to your mouth. And sorry, Robbie, one more thing. If you are on Zoom and you would like to contribute, you can do the little raise your hand sign or just, kind of get my attention. If you're on YouTube, you can simply write your question or comment in the chat and I will relay that. Okay, so what have we got?
Why do we want to see things as they are? Why do we want to see reality? Why is that better than living in our own fantasy world?
Well, don't forget to wait for the mic.
Because the world is full of other people and they have feelings and we're relating to other people all the time. We better be fairly realistic about how we approach things, how we relate to other people.
Okay.
It seems to me.
Saw some other hands.
Less suffering, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we got a hand in the back.
I think the way we're taught to look at reality is plagued with attachment and a lot of projections of ourselves that cause suffering and prevent us from being happy.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, y'all hit it right on the head. We want to see reality because our inability to do so is ultimately the cause of all our own problems, all our own suffering, all our own happiness comes from not seeing things as they truly are. And by not seeing reality, it prevents us from helping others, okay? We can't help others if we're not seeing reality. Okay, so typically in the Buddhist path, you start with the wisdom teachings, developing a sense of reality, seeing things as they are, working on your own issues. Then you work on the compassion teachings. That would be the traditional way of doing it. Of course, we're working on both at the same time. It's not like saying, I can't be compassionate because I haven't seen reality as it is yet. We're working on both. But the wisdom teachings are the necessary precursor to really developing compassion. We can't develop true compassion until we see things as they are. So the wisdom teachings are things about karma, impermanence, the inevitability of death, suffering and its causes. I mean, all these really cheerful subjects. And then ultimately, an understanding of emptiness. Okay, these are all about seeing reality, what really exists, about alleviating our own suffering. And that leads us into the compassion wing, where we develop the wish to help others. But like I say, it's not like we're just doing one or the other. We practice both because we're good Mahayana Buddhists. We're in the vehicle where both wings are prerequisites for enlightenment. Okay, so the real key to seeing things as they are, to seeing reality, is what's referred to as an understanding of emptiness, that big loaded word. And when we talk about emptiness, we're talking about a quality that everything we perceive possesses. Okay? When I look at a cushion, that cushion has a quality of being empty. When I look at Linda, Linda has a quality of being empty. When I think about enlightenment, even enlightenment has a quality of being empty. The Buddha, the historical Buddha, had a quality of being empty. This is a quality that everything we perceive possesses. In fact, it says that's its ultimate quality, its ultimate nature. Anything that my mind perceives is empty. Okay, so what do we mean? It's not something that I'm projecting onto them. It is a quality that exists in and of that phenomena, that experience, that person, that object cannot be separated from it. Now, I don't see it, okay, but it is there, and that is the ultimate way in which everything I perceive exists. So when we use this somewhat jargony term, empty, we're not saying that they don't exist. Okay, we're not saying that they're imaginary. We're not saying that they're only projections of my mind. Okay, we are saying that if we start with the cushion, we're saying that the cushion is empty of or lacks permanent inherent existence. Okay. Now, when I look at the cushion, it seems very real, very solid, seems like it's out there as a cushion. But when we understand the emptiness of the cushion, we see that it doesn't really exist in the way that our mind projects onto it. It exists in a way that's much more fluid and, as we say, dependent on, we say it's dependent, again, this is not what I want to talk about, but dependent on its parts, the various things that makes up the cushion, dependence on the karmic causes that cause that cushion to come here in Kadampa Center, and dependent upon my mind that perceives it as a cushion. That's the way the cushion exists. It doesn't exist in this solid, permanent, unchanging way in which it appears to us. So we'll get to questions in a moment. Oh, okay. Okay. I was going real quickly through the three ways in which the cushion does exist, in which the cushion is a dependent arising. The cushion exists dependent upon its parts. It's got the cover, it's got the stuffing. You can't find the cushion in any one of those parts. That cushion exists in dependence upon its parts. It exists independent upon its causes and conditions, the karmic causes. Someone made it, someone bought it, someone brought it to Kadampa Center, someone sat on it. That's the way that cushion exists. And it exists in dependence upon my mind that perceives it as a functioning cushion. Okay? So that's the way it exists. It doesn't exist, but I don't see any of that when I look at it. I just see a solid, inherently existing, as we say, that's a little bit of jargon. Another phrase we use is existing from its own side, S-I-D-E, that the cushion is out there, existing, okay? And that's the way we see it, and that's not correct. The cushion is lacking that kind of existence. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about emptiness. It's a quality that every object in this room, every person in this room, every thought that goes through our mind possesses. And that's the ultimate way in which all phenomena exist, according to the Buddha. He did not invent this. It's not a quality that we're giving to these objects. This is reality, according to the Buddha. Okay? That things exist that way. And we go through life not seeing that. We go through life, as I say, hallucinating, or as if we're in a LSD trip or something. We're seeing a inherently existing cushion that does not exist at all. What we see does not exist. The dependent arising cushion does exist. The cushion with its emptiness exists. But our mind projects onto it qualities that it does not have. And this is very hard. I was thinking about this. We talked about this some with Venerable Robbie, trying to pull away this misperception that we've lived with our entire lives and that we project onto everything is incredibly difficult. I think, it's kind of like trying to get a fish to see water. That's been its entire existence. Trying to see these false projections is comparable to that. Any questions or comments? Okay, another one in the back.
Thank you for this. This is helpful, very helpful. I just want to make sure I'm understanding when you're talking about the dependent or independent. I think I'm missing whether you're saying dependent or independent.
Okay. I've used both words, but
so that makes it a little confusing for me. So so that's the first question.
Okay, let me answer that one. Great. Okay, I'm saying dependent, D. The cushion exists dependent upon its parts.
Okay.
It exists dependent upon causes and conditions.
Okay.
Exists dependent upon my mind that perceives it, which does not mean that my mind is just imagining it, okay? But it needs all three of those that cushion. It's a three-legged stool, exists because of those three dependencies.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Independent didn't make sense to
Yeah.
me, but dependent does.
Okay.
Thank you. And then
It does not exist independently. Yeah.
of those three
Yeah.
conditions or three.
Mhm.
Okay. And the other thing is, I'm not sure I've ever heard the phrase dependent arising.
Yeah.
So if you could just explain or expound on that.
Dependent
please.
arising just refers to those three characteristics. Okay. And again, these are old translations. We say the cushion is a dependent arising, which means it exists in, new word, dependence upon those three factors. Okay. And that's the way the cushion, the conventional cushion exists, the cushion that functions and is there on the floor and someone can sit on. It exists as a dependent arising, dependent upon parts, dependent upon causes and conditions, dependent upon designating consciousness. Okay? Yeah. So it's said that dependent arising, the way the cushion exists conventionally, and its emptiness of inherent existence, they're like flip sides of a coin. If we can start to see things as dependent arising, as a dependent arising, then the ultimate emptiness of it becomes clearer. Okay, so studying dependent arising is a way to get to an understanding of emptiness. Okay, Kim, did you want?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, so you started out by saying that everything that I see and that everything I touch has the quality of being empty.
Mm-hmm.
Is that emptiness a dependent arising, or is that emptiness inherently existing?
I would guess well, the emptiness is dependent upon the object, so it's dependent also. So it's not inherently existing. This is getting interesting.
Sorry, I just had to ask.
No, but this is where I should say this is a good question for a Geshe. Okay, but there are certain most phenomena are impermanent, which means they're continually changing. There are certain things that are permanent, according to Buddhist philosophy. One is the empty space in between phenomena. I'm not sure what that means. Yeah. Two is the cessation of a negative mind state. When you remove anger from your mind, for example, it's gone permanently. And the next one is the emptiness of a phenomena. Okay, the emptiness of that cushion is not changing. Okay, but it is dependent on the cushion. But we're way beyond what I'm qualified to talk about.
I have to be honest, I don't trust over-conceptualization.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of conceptualization is going on here, and they're ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds similar to me. T.S. Eliot, the American poet, he was at Harvard, and he was going to do a dissertation on an English philosopher named Bradley. And Bradley was dealing with these same issues you're talking about, but it kind of sounds like you're saying the cushion is there because I perceive the cushion is there. It's kind of like, is the tree in the forest, is it real? Does it make a sound when it falls down? If there's nobody there listening to it? It's very hard for me to understand what you're saying, to grasp it, because so many ideas, and I don't trust a lot of theorizing.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not saying the cushion is there because I imagine it. I'm saying the cushion is there dependent upon my seeing, okay, which is a difference. I agree, this sounds very intellectual and in our minds right now. And the Buddha address that. He says, this is a subject that you have to approach, or the vast majority of people, you have to approach first intellectually, okay? But then you take it and you sit in meditation and you see the emptiness of the cushion or whatever. You see it directly with no conceptions. You directly perceive the emptiness after thinking about it, studying it, meditating upon it. You get to the point where you see it directly and everything changes at that point. Nothing goes back to being the same. What's a person called who's seen emptiness directly? Anybody know that term? An arhat, okay? A noble being, yeah. You become an arhat and your entire experience has changed. So it does, I agree, it's very intellectual right now, and it's very conceptual, and it's got a lot of words. The Buddha said for the vast majority of people, this, unlike compassion or some of the other subjects, is something that you have to approach through study. But, you know, they also have these stories. One of the ones I like is about a nun who was carrying a bucket of water, and she was looking at the reflection of the moon in the water, and then the bottom of the bucket fell out. So the water and the reflection disappeared, and she had a direct perception of emptiness at that moment. So different strokes for different folks. Yeah.
This is very exciting topic for me. I just love it, love it, love it. So I haven't read much about this, and you know, you seem to have some good information in your mind about this. So do you have any references or books I can read about the permanent states, the empty space, the cessation of the emptiness of a phenomena? What book can I go to? Just like kind of like a beginner book.
Any suggestions?
Where did you learn it?
Mostly from coming to teachings, yeah.
You learned about those 3 permanent states from a direct teaching?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. Anybody have any suggestions? Chris?
I'd be so grateful.
Okay. Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of
Thank you.
Life by Shanti Deva. There are numerous translations, yeah. Very poetic work. What, were you going to say something?
There's also a course called Discovering Buddhism. I'm always pushing this course. It's a really good one. And it's 13 modules, and emptiness is one of them. It'll be coming up sometime in 2024.
His Holiness's book, How to See Yourself as You Really Are.
Okay. Yeah, great title, yeah. It's the nail on the head.
And I would recommend most of His Holiness's books, because His Holiness has the capacity to speak to us on many levels kind of at the same time. So he often spoke to me when I was first starting, even though I was a little bit intimidated. Ooh, I'm reading His Holiness's books. And yet his books were definitely accessible.
There's a set.
Okay, Jill,
Is
and
it
then
Geshe Tashi Saring, and is it the foundation? What's the course? Foundation of no, it's the series.
yeah,
So there's Tantra and there's emptiness, the Four Noble Truths, I think, and so it's a really good set because there's 6 of them, and they're pretty high level, but you can keep touching them, keep going over. Geshe Tashi Saring, Tsering.
yeah, it's
and
an online course.
Yeah, it's called the Foundation of
Something, yeah.
Can I ask you to repeat what you said, that the permanence of anger leaving us is gone permanently? What?
Yeah, the cessation of a
Because mine
negative
comes
mind,
back.
the cessation of a negative mind state. It says, you know, after we've been, I mean, it doesn't happen just out of the blue. It says, but it's saying it is possible to, through meditation and practice and study, to get to a state where we've eliminated all anger and all possibility of anger from our mind stream. And it said when we do that, that's a permanent state in that it's unchanging. The absence of anger never changes. That's a huge accomplishment. Okay, yes, here's what Jill was mentioning. Emptiness, the foundation of Buddhist thought. Yeshitashi Sering, available in the bookstore outside. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. He's the FPMT resident teacher at the center in London. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. Thank you, Donna. Okay. So, let's see. Any other comments? Okay. Okay. So I hope that that's what we're talking about when we're using this word emptiness. It is an intellectual concept initially, but by sitting in meditation, it's said that we can experience it directly, so that simultaneously we see the dependent arising cushion and the emptiness of the cushion simultaneously. Okay? It's not like everything disappears. It's not like nothing exists. It's not voidness or nothingness or everything going out of existence. It's seeing everything that we see now and imagining everything we imagine now, but seeing those as they truly exist without these conceptions that we've projected onto them. We're removing what we're projecting and seeing what actually exists. And it's said that that's an incredibly blissful experience. It's said it's the ultimate cause for all our problems, to see how we and others exist. And it says it's, it enables us to really help others because we're seeing others as they truly are without these projections onto them. So again, like it seems like an intellectual concept, but it has very real world applications. And even if we don't get to that point where we experience emptiness directly, at least to start to think along these lines as we go through our daily lives, that, the idea that, what I'm seeing is not really the way things exist. Okay. That this is not permanent and fixed, that every situation is always changing. Every person, every emotion is always changing. That really starts to weaken this grasping and craving and attachment that we have. So it's working even before we get to that ultimate experience of seeing things, seeing reality directly. Okay, so let's do a meditation. Let some of the talking subside. Begin by checking your posture. Three deep breaths from the abdomen. Set your motivation, generating bodhicitta. And just a minute or two of concentration on the breath. And now just a couple minutes of analytic meditation. Just think, if we accept that we are misperceiving the reality of everything we encounter, every object, every person, every emotion, every idea, that we are not seeing those as they truly exist. How does this cause problems for us? How does this misperception, this delusional state, cause problems? And you can relax your concentration, and we'll do our dedication prayers, and I think we have an announcement or two afterwards.
So beginning on page 246, if you're in the Gampa in the Gold Prayer Book, we'll say the dedication verses from Master Shantideva's Bodhicharyavatara. I can finally say that word. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness, and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may these never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. And now our long life prayers, beginning with His Holiness. That's on page 244 in the Gold Prayer Book. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. And for Khyentse Rinpoche on page 245. The one who mastered his speech at a very young age, the one with great patience who received the name Avatare, the one with great precision who spread the teachings of Lama Tsongkhapa on bliss and void, Lama, ornament of the yellow hat tradition, please remain until samsara ends. And now the prayer for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche. Peerless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, victorious Losang father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of the infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now. I'm sorry, this is on the inside of the back page of the Gold Prayer Book if you want to join in. Holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice, You wore the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable, venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and for mother living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss. Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels and the great waves of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of a reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples. And now, 7 green Tara mantras for our precious Geshes' long, happy, healthy lives. Om Tari Tu Re So Ha. 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 Do the honors.
I just wanted to let people know that next Sunday, after the teachings, we'll probably end the teachings a little bit early, and we're going to have a general powwow discussion about some possible physical renovations that we are thinking about for the center here. I think a lot of us have realized that the world after the pandemic is probably never going to return to being the world before the pandemic. So this is a chance to think about what we want Kadampa Center to offer to our community and what physical changes, for example, some people are talking about a better kitchen, things like this to make the Kadampa Center work for our community in this new environment. So that's going to be a general open discussion, brainstorming. Geshe Gelik will be participating, and it's going to be right after the teachings next Sunday, and everybody is welcome to attend.
Yeah, one more. On Saturday, August 26th, we have the great opportunity to offer an animal blessing and liberation in place of our usual circumambulation. However, there will be circumambulation as well. We will start here in the Gampa with our pets. Dogs will need to be on leashes. Cats and other animals like rabbits, maybe, I don't know, need to be in like a crate or a cage. And we'll start in here. Geshe Sangpo will be leading the animal blessing. And so we'll start in here and then we'll take our pets outside and circumambulate. So be sure to mark your calendars, Saturday, August 26th. And come and join us for that. It should be a lot of fun, whether you have a pet or not.
Okay.
10 o'clock. Yes. Thanks, Elise.
I just wanted to say that for this meeting next Sunday, David Strevel is going to be bringing plans and diagrams of the building and of our property, showing us what's usable and what's not. We have a lot of easements out there that we always have to be aware of, but so we thank him for doing that, and that's going to help the discussion a lot. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for coming today. We'll see you next week.